Okay, folks, we're driving from Askov, Minnesota. We just pulled out of the Askov fuel station pull off. Now we're southbound on Interstate 35. This runs from Askov, which is there went the Sandstone exit, near Sandstone, Minnesota, north of Hinckley, Minnesota. And this runs all the way into Lino Lakes, Minnesota. We stop off for fuel there and a coffee stop and carry on. But this is just a brief outline. This is the beginning leg of our return trip from Minnesota, where we visited with my stepdad. We spent a couple hours with him at some mealtime engagements and spent a day with him. Ted is 95 this year, has some health concerns. He has developed a form of cancer. He's going through some testing this week to determine what they're going to do, what can be done. But I did have a chance to meet with him and talk things over, review where we stand as a family and what his plans are, what has happened with his properties and his legacy. I'm a stepchild. I was not included in that. I've always known my role, and it's not fair. I could break things apart in probate if I want, but at this point I just want peace in my life, and I want to get through this. I wish I had more answers on what's going on with him, but I'm just in the air with it. Anyway, I'm traveling through old haunts and old neighborhoods here. This is, the way that I used to take into the Twin Cities almost on a daily basis at times as I commuted for school and work. I know this piece of interstate by heart. It's been updated a few times with some retrogrades and refits in terms of the surface, but the route hasn't changed. Never does. Traffic never changes. It's always busy, and it should open up to 3 lanes here briefly, and then it splits off onto the 35W split. We are approaching Forest Lake. I can tell by the signage, oddly enough, where I'm at. We just went through, I believe, the city of North Branch. At any rate, sorry, I'm on a lot. I'm sort of watching this as I go along. I love the time warp effect on the clouds. It really provides a nice sense of time travel. This is a 90-minute drive that we're completing in roughly 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I believe it was. And so it gracefully reduces things and makes things a little bit more digestible in terms of riding along. And it gives me a brief chance to run my yapper and get my talking done. And now we are entering into the upper metro area. I don't film in the metro area because it's too distractionary when I'm driving. I don't like to wreck. The rear, we're in the 3 lane, and we'll have the split off here in about 2 seconds according to this. And that is coming up right now. And off we go to the Lino Lakes exit. Thank you for riding along. The next step will be onward to Ames. And from there we travel on more from that. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Peace. In this portion of the video, we are traveling. We had traveled through to Lino Lakes. We had encountered a bad fuse, and my GoPro quit. I wasn't able to charge any electronics. So we stopped off in Owatonna, did the diagnosis, troubleshot the bad fuse, got it replaced, and now we're carrying on from our coffee stop in Owatonna, the famous area where Cabela's is, of course. And you can tell by the little overhangs that we're approaching the border to Minnesota. and we enter into Iowa soon and travel on to Ames, where we stop for fuel. This video was taken on August 28th. This is approximately 3 in the afternoonish. Might be closer to 4. And this, again, if we're not in, no, we're still in Minnesota. I can tell by Minnesota has a very unique use of guardrails. They're used sparingly, so they do one side then the other, one side then the other. Anyway, and I can just tell from Lake Country and the overhead that we're getting close to Iowa, but we're not quite in it. Right now we're passing, I believe, what is basically I-90 as it crosses southern Minnesota. This is still I-35 South. We stay on I-35 South for the duration of this video. We had been visiting with, again, as I mentioned in the earlier segment, with my stepdad. We stayed overnight with my son, Bruce, in Sandstone, and got a chance to view and visit his home. I'm very proud of my children. I want to take a chance to say that. We also visited with my daughter, Brandy, and her husband, Rudy, and our grandson, Caleb. Caleb has grown like a weed. He's a beautiful boy. He's excited about going to school. I think that he will go to K this year. They were a little concerned about illness with COVID, but we should know more within a day or two whether or not he's going to go. And then that evening we returned to Sandstone and spent the evening with Bruce. We had pork chops and potatoes, and just enjoyed each other's company. We know what's going to go on with Ted. Basically, it's that if the cancer is one where if the chemo and or radiation are mild enough that he can survive it at his age and with his frailty, then go for it. He wants to go for it. He doesn't feel bad. He's not in a lot of pain. They don't think he's very far along from what they see. They can tell and know enough about it to know that it is inoperable, but we still don't know the full stage of it yet and where it's at. And of course, they have to see what's going to be efficacious in terms of his treatment. And he has stated pretty much at that point that if the milder options aren't options, he just would prefer comfort measures. He's not giving up. He has an apartment now. He changed apartments, I should say. He left the one he was at. The one in Askov is more closely monitored. It has resident nursing assistants that live there alongside the residents, so they're constantly there. So the fall incident won't be repeated in the Askov location. It's also a single ground unit, or not upstairs like his unit in Moose Lake. He was in a upstairs apartment, and quite frankly, his monitors were not monitored. He didn't pay for the monitoring service, but like Ted said, you would think that in a assisted living building somebody would have heard him. When Ted fell, he fell at like 8 in the morning. On the one morning, and he fell getting off the toilet, and it just makes me sad. But noon the next day, they finally heard him screaming, and were able to get in and get him to the hospital. So he had a rough time. He said it was touch and go, and he had some mental issues to decide and work through, and he got through it. Knows what he wants to do. Got his affairs settled, and the farm is settled, and we moved from there. Again, when dealing with this situation, this is a tough situation, and aging, death, and dying is an unkind process. And I don't wish this on anybody, and I really don't wish that I was going through this. I'm not saying much about the trip here because this is literally Twin Cities to Ames, just north of Des Moines, and honestly, it's some of the most boring driving in America. I won't lie to you. This drive is dull. I'm not a huge fan of Iowa, and there's no vertical horizons. No offense, Iowa, but I'm a vertical horizon kind of guy, and I enjoyed the sojourn and the visit to the wide open skies. I am a mountain horizon kind of guy. I like to see, the sky cluttered with all sorts of dirty stuff sticking up out of the ground, I guess, and trees and forest and wildlife. And there's no elk here. There's nothing of interest here. The riding, to me, if I had to ride this on a bike, I think I'd rather pull my own teeth. This has got to be some of the most boring driving I have ever been in, and I thank God for cruise control, loud radio, and lots of caffeine, because this one was dull. I'm not lying. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Iowa driving. It was something that we had to do, and now we're at the gas station, and I'm going to be doing a video trim. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace.